listeners. This is Grace Ovba, your host for Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, rasa. This is a show where we highlight stories relating to abuse, mental health, society, and culture. Today, we'll be talking more about national news on abuse. To keep up to date with what's coming up, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, Facebook at Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, TikTok at Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, YouTube at Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, and Twitter at Rising Above Abuse. I hope you enjoy this episode, and let's get straight to it. The first newsreel is from Skynews by Gemma Peplow, culture and entertainment reporter, dated 2nd of December 2024. We will be in the same place next week. In 6 months, a year's time, the head of Creative Union, Beck2, has said, following the claim made about MasterChef presenter Greg Wallace, unless the industry draws a line in the sand and takes meaningful action. Reports of the BBC's handling of complaints about MasterChef presenter Greg Wallace are deeply troubling. The head of a TV workers union had said Wallace had stepped back from presenting the BBC cooking show after accusations he made sexual comments towards staff and celebrity guests on a range of programs over 17 years. At the weekend, the presenter issued a defiant response to mounting allegations against him, dismissing his accusers as middle-class women of a certain age in a series of videos posted on Instagram. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has held talks with BBC bosses in the wake of the controversy, a spokesperson for the Prime Minister has said, describing Wallace's comments as completely inappropriate and misogynistic. The Beck2 union, which represents more than 40,000 staff, contract and freelance workers in the media and entertainment industries, says reports on the way in which complaints have previously been handled by the corporation will make others worried about speaking out. In a statement sent to Sky News, Beck2's head, Philippa Charles, said that misogyny, intimidation, ageism, and sexual harassment should have no place in modern workplaces. But time and again, we see that these issues continue to run rampant in the creative industries, propped up by inadequate reporting mechanisms, a lack of accountability, and an industry that enables extreme power dynamics and untouchable talent, she continued. Reports that the BBC previously internally investigated complaints about Wallace and concluded that the aspects of his behavior were unacceptable are deeply troubling. Is it any wonder that film and TV freelancers, many of them worrying about their next job, think twice about sticking their head above the parapet? Unless the industry draws a line in sand and collectively takes meaningful actions, we will be in the same place next week in 6 months, a year's time. Historical allegations will continue to surface alongside revelations that someone knew, but complaints were inadequately dealt with at the time. Broadcaster Kirsty Wa is among 13 people who have made claims, with Wallace being investigated by MasterChef's production company, Banijay UK. One former contestant told Sky News the allegations against the 60-year-old are just the tip of the iceberg, claiming he witnessed a toxic environment and was so horrified he considered quitting the show on his first day. The problem was systemic and larger than just the presenter, he said. A BBC source said it would be wrong to report the broadcaster has done nothing if or when matters have been raised, not least because it is already been widely reported. There were interventions in both 2017 and 2018 where action was taken. Beck2 has called on broadcasters and the larger industry to accept that internal reporting mechanisms are inadequate and encourage support for the newly established Creative Industries Independent Standard Authority, CIISA, which aims to uphold and improve standards of behavior. Production companies and broadcasters will cite their own policies and procedures, but it is abundantly clear that freelancers do not feel confident using these and have little confidence that complaints are taken seriously, properly investigated, and appropriate action taken against perpetrators, Ms. Charles said. Banijay UK previously said the complaints were made to the BBC last week by individuals in relation to historical allegations of misconduct while working with Greg Wallace on one of our shows. The company said that Wallace, who has been a co-presenter and judge of the popular cooking show since 2005, was committed to fully cooperating throughout the process. A BBC spokesperson said the cooperation has robust process in place to deal with any issues raised, and it's always clear that any behavior which falls below the standards expected by the BBC will not be tolerated. The spokesperson said it will be inappropriate to comment further on anything that could form part of Banerjee's ongoing investigation or otherwise influence it. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's official spokesman has said the Culture Secretary spoke with BBC leadership last week about Wallace and wider workplace culture issues. Clearly, the comments we have seen from the individual over the weekend were completely inappropriate and misogynistic, the spokesperson said. More broadly, the BBC is conducting an independent review into workplace culture, which must deliver clear and timely recommendations. It's essential the staff and the wider public have confidence that the BBC takes these issues seriously. What do you think about this? Kindly leave your comments as relates to this via email address risingaboveshadowsofabuse@gmail.com. Thank you.